Hello and welcome to the Two Dyspraxics, episode 18. I'm Matthew Munson.
And I'm Barbara Neal.
And today we're going to be talking about eating and the difficulties associated with it. There are a lot of difficulties, I think, with dyspraxic people kind of trying to coordinate kind of visual spatial. I think the word actually Barbara used a minute ago, and that's kind of quite appropriate. It can be difficult actually kind of try and plan the motion, that it's quite fine motor skills.
Yeah. I think if you break down the concept of eating a meal, particularly if you're using cutlery, then it's quite a tricky process because you have to focus on the food that you're cutting up with the knife and fork, keep it in place, and fine motor skills can be a problem, are a problem, I think, probably without exception for dyspraxic people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then when you've finally got the food onto your fork, you have to get it from the plate, up into your mouth, which is
an interesting experience.
And a difficult one. I mean, it sounds as though we're not sort of making light of the situation, because it is actually quite a complex process to get something from there up to here and get it into the right place. So, I mean, that does sound a bit comical, and it really isn't.
It's certainly not, and it can be. You learn kind of coping strategies, I think, with it sometimes. I mean, it's one of the most natural things that we do, obviously, either with our hands or with cutlery, but actually I think for some neurotypical people, they don't think about actually the extra thought and awareness it will go into us needing to
we have to really consciously get the food. I think where somebody who's neurotypical can be sitting there chatting with a friend, and shoveling in mouthfuls in between breaks in the conversation, which I personally find very difficult to do. I have to either stop talking or stop eating. I can't really keep both going at the same time. So it's the problem of getting the food into the mouth, and then if that is a problem and you're suffering from it, because I know that some dyspraxic people have a bigger problem with this than others, but if it is a problem for you, then you can find that you become more anxious. The more anxious you become, the more difficult it becomes to get the food in. Exactly that.
I remember when I was a child, I learned to eat my meals quite fast. Because I thought the less time I was at the meal, the less chance I had to embarrass myself, or often I'd be the first one to finish the meal, either at home or if I was out anywhere, because I didn't want to make an idiot of myself, and I often did, unfortunately. I'd perhaps drop food down me or whatever. But if I got it over and done with quickly, then I wouldn't be I wouldn't be really slow in eating, and so I wouldn't be holding everyone else up, and B, there'd be less opportunity for me to make a fool of myself because I was taking less time to eat.
Yeah, the trauma's out of the way, basically. You get back to feeling more comfortable. And I was the opposite, really. I was very, very slow eating. So when I was at school, it was embarrassing because I'd often be the last one. Everybody else had put the chairs up on the tables, I was still sitting there eating my dessert. So that was really. I mean, it sounds quite amusing, really, but for a small child in school, it's really a huge problem.
And I think people don't perhaps appreciate that something like that, something as what a lot of people think as simple as eating, and that process then, if you're the last one left behind in a school setting, well, that isolates you. It makes you seem different. Exactly. It makes you stand out from the crowd, and that's instantly then you can be picked on because you're different.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just another or yet another thing that singles you out, because if you are dyspraxic and in a school setting, certainly I remember from my school days, there are so many opportunities to be singled out.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And unfortunately, some children, not all children, but some will latch on to any difference of another child and make the most of it.
And I remember having a very long telephone conversation with Mary Colley, bless her, the late Mary Colley, who was herself dyspraxic and set up DANDA, which is a very helpful organisation for people with neurodiversity. But I had a very long telephone conversation with her, and she said, well, I've just got to the point now where I'm past caring, so she said, if I make a mess, I make a mess, which is the way that some people are quite happy to handle it. I was different from that, because I didn't want to make a mess. I really didn't want to make a mess, so I'd just really take my time and break down all of the stages of eating. So when I cut my food up, I cut it up so the amount that goes on the fork is a really manageable amount. So I'm imagining, right, will that get into my mouth? Okay, are there any bits of food dangling down? If there are, I'll get rid of them. And in other words, just set myself up to succeed if it's humanly possible.
Yeah.
and then just take my time, think about getting that food up into my mouth. Now, it's a funny thing actually, because now this is something I never related to dyspraxia until I discovered I was dyspraxic, because as I'm sure some of you know, I wasn't diagnosed until just a few years ago, but I didn't even discover I was dyspraxic until 1990s. So I spent all of my childhood and most of my adult life has been spent not knowing I was dyspraxic. And I was about 20, I think, in my early 20s perhaps, and the girl I used to work with used to come and watch me eat my lunch when we were at work.
Really?
She did, yeah. She said, I love watching you eat because it's so slow and deliberate. And I never really thought anything of it. I just thought it was an odd thing to say. But then, yeah, with in retrospect, once I've discovered more about dyspraxia and discovered I was dyspraxic myself, then I thought, well, yeah, of course, because that's my coping strategy. That's how I'm.
Isn't it funny how though you developed coping strategies for that part of dyspraxia without even realising it? It was
Absolutely,
kind of just,
yeah.
it's automatic.
Yeah.
I wonder actually how many other people have perhaps done the same thing. You know, developed a.
Yeah.
You know, I think perhaps probably eating is one of the most visible.
Certainly it is. Yeah.
Aspects where dyspraxia will show.
Yeah.
You know, correctly.
And that in turn makes it one of the most stressful situations, because if you're going out for a meal, for example, you know, you're with a group of friends, or you're in a restaurant, you're with someone you're trying to impress for whatever reason, that can be incredibly stressful, particularly if you're so conscious of not making a mess, or if you're one of these people who just shovels it in and makes a mess anyway. You know, either option, either scenario is far from ideal.
I mean, I'm in my 30s now, and you know, I still have that thing where my standard default is I will eat fast. It's not an insult to a person's food. It's a compliment that if I'm doing it in a sense, but I'm still doing it to try and just get rid of the food as quick as possible in a sense. But then, as Bobby was saying, I then become really conscious of who I'm with, if I'm with friends or whatever. Suddenly there's a situation where, well, I don't want to eat my food too fast because, you know, I don't want to be like finished 10, 15 minutes early before everyone else does.
Social considerations, isn't it?
Oh god, yeah, it becomes this whole minefield of things to think about. So I then try and force myself to slow down with my eating and be more precise and deliberate. But then I get kind of quite anxious and stressed about it. I have to focus on my food a lot more because there's more chance of spillage or, you know, something dropping over me or, you know, like something on my face or whatever. So now after I finish a mouthful, I'm always kind of like checking my face, like, can I feel anything? Is there anything there? Have I done something wrong? And I'm very quiet now when I'm eating because I try to focus a lot more and slow down.
Yeah, so you can't give your attention to conversation as well as all that stuff that's going on.
It makes it difficult if there's two of us at the dinner table. That makes it even more awkward.
But something I used to do, actually, I was so concerned about making a mess, and I get more and more anxious about it, that or just showing myself up in any way at all while I'm eating, that I would say, no thanks, I'm not hungry, even if I was. So I would go without food sometimes in a social setting rather than risk going through the trauma of eating in front of other people.
Yeah, that's an awful way to kind of feel. But
yeah, I mean, I'm going back now to when I was a teenager, when I had all these hang-ups. You know, I was going through a difficult time anyway because it was, you know, classic adolescence.
Oh, a typical teenager, yeah.
Yeah, but having dyspraxia made it so much more difficult, so much more complicated, and so that's something I would do on a regular basis. You know, often other people would say, right, well, we're going to have some whatever it is to eat. Would you like some? No thanks, I'm not hungry, or I've just eaten, or whatever, and come up with all manner of excuses to avoid that situation.
Because as I said, it's so visible, isn't it? It's something Bob and I were talking about in the break was the break between the videos. I hate to tell you, but we record both of the videos in one day. Sorry to break that to you guys.
Secret's out.
Sorry, it's out now. Wearing the same clothes probably doesn't help.
No.
Anyway,
you digress.
Anyway, I digress. I'm sorry. I digress. I apologise. The one thing we were talking about was how often we can almost hide our dyspraxia. Not deliberately, but a lot of people will recognise we're dyspraxic if we just sat down in mind to go in business. But with that, it's you get outed. I think if that's the right word as dyspraxic very easily by that. I've just been trying to think about any coping mechanisms that I've developed. I don't know whether I have actually, apart from sort of speeding up, and then now I'm in my head to try to slow down again. You know what I mean? I can't think of any.
Well, the way I handled it was to do the opposite, basically, of what you've done, which is interesting. So it's to slow everything down, just take my time, not care about what other people think. I've actually developed a hypnotherapy program for this. I mean,
useful.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be a shameless plug. I mean, shameless plug comes in with my books.
Yeah, the fact they're behind us on the shelf. Yeah.
but no, in all seriousness, I have developed a hypnotherapy program that can help people with dyspraxia who have this problem with eating, and it basically relieves the anxiety and just helps you to slow things down, break it down into manageable pieces, if you like, and that's not just the food but the whole process of eating, so that then you can gradually build the confidence that goes with eating comfortably and normally, to use that awful word, in front of other people without worrying about it. So
and I think actually Mary Colley had it. I never had the good fortune to ever meet or speak to Mary Colley, but actually what she said to you was kind of really kind of good, that she ended up not caring about it, and actually to kind of be able to rid yourself of that social anxiety that comes with a dinner invitation or you know, even eating by yourself or with your family. It's a wonderful, liberating feeling.
It is. I think to take it a stage further, though, the not caring and not making a mess is the ideal. So
absolutely,
that's what we can aim for, and that's what we can achieve. And over the years, I've used that particular technique myself, and now it's not really a problem. So although I do understand completely about anybody who does have this problem with eating, especially in front of other people, I do understand it totally, because I have been there. It's been a massive problem for me in the past, but now it really isn't.
I don't think you said that. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say that I've heard that some people recommend using special cutlery.
Yes, I've heard about this, and that's what I was going to say as well, Barbara.
Oh,
right.
Enough. Same weirdly.
Yeah, scary. But I don't think, to be honest, I don't think that's the answer.
No, it's not the answer for me.
No.
I'm sure it may work for some people, but for me, I don't like the thought that I would have to carry my cutlery around with me everywhere I go. I like to be spontaneous.
And that then, but that itself can mark you out.
Yeah.
As all you're getting a knife and fork or whatever out of your
special handles or easy grip handles.
It doesn't sit right with me somehow.
No,
it should be about helping to adapt to stuff that's out there. You know, cutlery that's already there.
I think it's interesting really, because a lot of dyspraxia awareness needs to be made so that our surroundings are adapted to suit us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think there's a massive need for us to adapt to suit our surroundings.
Absolutely.
You know, so we don't stand out like a sore thumb.
And it is kind of that. It is kind of very double-edged in that sense. You know, you have got on one hand society adapting to help us, but also us kind of meeting it halfway.
Exactly.
You know, and it is it should be kind of from both sides.
Yeah.
It isn't yet. I would argue.
No, there's a heck of a long way to go, but we can do our bit, I think. And for me, it's far more important to be able to eat comfortably, easily, with normal cutlery, and that's, you know, whatever cutlery happens to be around. When you go to a restaurant, you don't know. You know, I've had some weird cutlery in the past.
Oh yeah, some of them are quite kind of ornate and well designed, just because they like the look of it, I guess.
And some of them are sort of more modern, and flipping heck, these are uncomfortable. I've had some where the knife blade is kind of like the wrong way around. You wouldn't expect, not back to front, but
I have seen
90-degree angles to
to
the handles, and that's a bit weird. So it's not easy to do that. But if you use this particular technique where you slow everything down, and it's like anything that you learn, I think, really, that by slowing it down into easy to manage chunks, small steps, and then you accomplish one, and then you accomplish the next one. You do it with confidence, build your confidence as you go.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, I don't have any qualms about going into a restaurant and eating with whatever cutlery they happen to have. That's really not a problem. But there was a time when it certainly was.
I think, Barbara, perhaps we should put details of the hypnotherapy things under this thing, because I think that, especially if you're talking about that, I think it'd be useful. I mean, I'd welcome feedback, but you know, what people think about it. Perhaps we can put some details under there, kind of talk about the support of that, because I think that would be really quite a positive way to say, well, let's help with, you know, if people got the anxiety, the actual needs to break it down into the small compartments.
Yeah.
If it can help, let's give it a go. So we'll put some details down there of things you can look at, and that's Barbara's website and stuff, where Barbara's got details. We'll We'll do the logistics afterwards.
Yes, well, thank you for that, Matthew, because I wasn't
No,
intending this to be a
No,
fun.
it's I mean, I think it's but we all just Bob as a hypnotherapist. I'm a writer, and I'm not going to plug 2 books out, 7.99 each from all the bookshops. But I'm joking apart. I'm not we're not doing it for the plug, but actually, if we've got something that we can share with anyone who watches this video that might be of any use, then I don't see a problem in sharing that.
No, certainly. I mean, our aim really is to make life easier for people who have dyspraxia, and that involves alerting other people to what's involved with it, and alerting people who have dyspraxia themselves into easier ways to fit in, and still retain our individuality, obviously. But it's all about it does need to be viewed from both sides, from the side of those of us who have dyspraxia and others who don't.
It's a compromise.
It's a compromise. That's exactly it.
As long as neurotypicals do their part, we can do ours. That's what I always say.
Precisely.
On that note, have you ever got anything else to say?
No, I was just going to say that we need to take our share of the responsibility.
I agree. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, most definitely. Well, on that bombshell.
Happy eating.
Happy eating. Especially as we're recording this. Well, we could do it. We're recording this in Easter. It may not kind of be quite Easter when you
probably
see
be
the
Christmas.
video. Probably Christmas. To be fair, so we shall shortly be gorging ourselves on our body weight in chocolate.
Yes, indeed.
And we have coping strategies for that.
Yes, so I developed a coping strategy for chocolate.
That's just in mouth as quick as possible. On that bombshell, thank you for watching. Do get in touch, usual ways, below this video, Facebook, Twitter, etc.
Yeah.
And we look forward to hearing from you. See you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.